there, this is Katie Featherston, and you're listening to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast. Just want to thank all of our fans and listeners. Really appreciate the support. You guys are awesome. Before we get into tonight's film review, just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Everything about our podcast is on the website. All of our episodes and interviews, if you want to check those out. We've done some incredible interviews in the past. Go check them out there in a specific tab by themselves so you don't have to scroll through hundreds of episodes on Apple or Spotify, etc. We also have our store if you want to grab a shirt, a mouse pad, a hat, all that good stuff. We'd love to see your pictures, rep your favorite podcast. And Shan's Etsy page is also attached if you want to grab a tumbler. All of our social media links are on there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. And the last thing I want to shout out on our website is our Patreon. We call it Blood Donors. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind. If you want to support us, help us pay the bills, as we say. Or if there's a movie you want us to review, that option is available as well. Just check out our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Also, if you haven't noticed, we've recently joined the Believe Network. So there's some ads on our program now. But if you want ad-free content, go check us out on Blood Donors. The ad-free episodes will be available there. We appreciate your support. We hope you enjoy the episode. Get her done! All right, guys, on to the film review. We are kicking off my second theme of the year. It's my last theme of the year. I chose another one of the themes of haven't seen it, never seen it months. So we all have to pick a movie that's been on our list or something, that's just we haven't seen yet. And Brian is up first. Brian, what movie haven't you seen that we're reviewing tonight?
It felt like the perfect time to knock out one of the most probably overdue movies that we have. We mentioned a couple last week in the episode, if you guys listened to it. The Fly, Rosemary's Baby, Carrie, those are definitely some of them. But I went with 1982's Poltergeist. And look, this movie to me is one of those huge movies where 43 years at the time of us filming this of just lore, documentaries. It flood the market. So just bear with us as always. When we do big ones like this, we definitely won't do those, documentaries justice. But, you got the so-called Poltergeist curse that I think has always kept me from seeing this movie, mostly because Heather O'Rourke's death at just the age of 12. I mean, there was some stigma, I think, that kept me from watching it. Knowing that this poor girl died so tragically 5 years after this movie. It's also very interesting, the back and forth between Tobe Hooper, Steven Spielberg on who actually directed this movie, with some of the fun facts I'm sure we have on why that's debated. Some as official credit for directing did go to Hooper. Producing credit did go to Spielberg. But like I said, there's just so much on this movie. It's a little daunting. But I'm looking forward to helping break it down and kind of encourage you to go watch some behind the scenes on this because there's a lot of very interesting things correlated with this. But as far as my personal opinion is concerned, I'm not going to make anybody happy probably because, this is just going to kind of get a middle-of-the-road score from me because it's kind of like as above, so below, which I know is a weird comparison, but it popped in my head because the final product, I really liked it. Or did I? Because, do I like this Poltergeist movie because of 40-something years worth of stuff associated with the film? Or because do I really actually kind of like the film? I don't know. I don't have a good answer for you, which is maybe a cop-out. But like we discussed before, it felt more like Casper than it did Paranormal Activity. And I feel like it really had the opportunity to be scary as shit because there are some parts that got me. But then you get some very hokey parts that felt very Casper, Steven Spielbergish. So yeah, that's where your boy Brian is at with this one. I'm probably not going to make anybody happy.
Brian sounded like me when I was doing my A24 watch through. It's like, I liked it, or did I? Was it good? Or did you like it? I don't really know. It was pretty good, though.
I don't even know what it was about. It was a 9.
This movie gave me some Ghostbusters vibes too. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but like the monster popping out of this the closet.
Yeah.
I mean, it gave me some Ghostbuster-esque type things too. But I had seen this movie once before doing this review, and on my first watch, I did not care for it. I thought it was boring, too long, slowly paced in some spots, not scary, bad effects. But I did enjoy it more this second watch. Like I'm just a big fan of the parents. Like I think Craig T. Nelson. And forgive me, I can't remember what the wife's name is offhand. I'll look it up on IMDb after this. But I think the parents do such a good job. Like I'm really sucked into like their dynamic and their relationship. I think the movie, but even still enjoying it more, I think it's just okay. Like it's nothing that I'm going to ever really want to pop on again. And this movie, like we've talked about in the past, does suffer to me from that Scary Movie 2 parody, like the clown and the stuff bursting through the window, like. That's what I think of when I think of Poltergeist and Scary Movie 2. Like I hate that is true and factual, but that is for me. But overall, I think the movie is just okay.
Did you see Scary Movie 2 before you saw this?
Oh yeah,
yeah. So I mean, that's probably why, and I completely understand that. I'm wondering those that grew up with this movie, like they probably got annoyed at Scary Movie 2 or found the comparisons hilarious. But anyway, first off. I had no idea that Steven Spielberg was one of the writers on this or the producer or ghost directed it until this watching.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know. I hadn't seen this movie in well over 20 years. So it was pretty much like watching it for the first time when I did my notes today. Shout out to Craig T. Nelson. I watched many reruns of Coach as a kid with my grandparents.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
As for the movie, I think it's just okay. It has some really good potential. But it just didn't live up to it. The tone was all over the place. I mean, this movie should have been terrifying, but instead there's so much like misplaced comedy, and PG-13 didn't exist at the time, so they wanted to kind of tone it down to keep that PG rating. If they'd have went all in and made it a rated R, I almost said hard R, but definitely don't make it hard R. But if they leaned all the way into it and made it an R-rated movie, I think it would have been so much better because of the potential that's there in the story. But as it is, I think it's a very mediocre movie.
And kind of like we were talking about off air, and I said this to Nico, there's so much of this that I feel like Insidious borrowed from this, and I feel like that Nightmare on Elm Street borrowed from this. So like, and I saw all that stuff first, obviously. So now watching this, I'm just like, meh. And I wonder if I would have been like that the first time I watched Insidious, because I loved Insidious. I gave it like an 8 or 7.5 or something. And now I'm like, I think I would have been like, I like that better than Poltergeist, fucking thief. But, I don't know.
Well, something that this movie has over Insidious.
Don't.
Well, if you think about it, Dustin doesn't really like Insidious or Nightmare on Elm Street, so it kind of makes sense if he doesn't like Poltergeist as well.
Oh yeah, exactly. It would have been weird.
Dude, Nightmare on Elm Street is another one that I always say, like, in theory, it's fantastic. Like, the story would be awesome, but they just take so many liberties and shortcuts with the rules that it loses me some. This movie, just like, we had this terrifying idea, but let's make it kid-friendly.
Well, I agree with you in the franchise as a whole, but the first one to me, I think.
Yeah, the first one's good. It's not great.
You guys ready to get into the scene by scene?
It's no Beau is Afraid, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh, Jesus.
Or is it? We don't even know what it's about still.
Anywho, y'all bear with me. This is an almost 2-hour movie, so I got a lot of scene by scene, but not much in the first for some reason. The film starts with a national anthem playing and a title card. The TV cuts to static as we see the family dog run upstairs. E-Buzz finds a loaf of bread under Dana's head and munches it down. E-Buzz keeps wandering until Carol Ann awakes, who goes downstairs. She makes it to the staticky TV and says, "Hello, what do you look like?" and starts yelling, "Hello, she can't hear you." She answers questions about herself. Opening credits as we get shots of the beautiful town. We see some kids mess with a guy toting a case of beer with a remote-control cars, and he drops them. He salvages what he can and runs inside to watch the game with his friends. Diane notices the pet bird Tweety died as the football gang's TV changes suddenly. They're losing their mind as the channel keeps changing due to the neighbors changing their TV as well. The neighbors are beefing as Diane is caught almost flushing the bird by Carol Ann. Robbie climbs the weird tree as we see Diane puts Tweety in a box. Carol Ann puts some items in the box for Tweety and hugs Mama. They bury Tweety and pray. Dana thinks it's all dumb and Carol gets a goldfish now. Robbie is terrified of the tree outside and the lightning. Diane tucks Carol Ann and Robbie into bed. She turns the closet light on for Carol Ann and leaves the room, and there's no way I could sleep because the light just bothers me. Steve and Diane are in bed as she tells them of a time she sleptwalked for 4 blocks and fell asleep in a stranger's car. Diane worries Carol Ann may sleepwalk into the new pool and hurt herself. Steve stands on the bed and jumps off the bed as the two are playful in bed. All right, Bryce, opening set of scenes, not much really happens, but what'd you think?
And that's funny because I probably had the most on this set of scenes from this, so it's crazy. But yeah, right off the bat with this classic MGM logo, the roar, I kind of have a fun fact, but I wasn't sure whether to put it here or in the closing, so I decided to go with it here. Later on in this movie, at around an hour, 40 minutes, the sound effect here for the beast later on that attacks the house in the end of the movie is the source for this current MGM lion roar, which kind of takes me back, and so it takes me to something that I think is done very well in this, so I won't harp on it, but especially for the time is the sound design. I mean, this was actually the 1983 Academy Award nomination for Best Sound Effects, Editing, and Best Music from the legendary Jerry Goldsmith. Of course, I can't go through his stuff. I mean, it's so much. It's like John Williams. You better know his shit if you watch film. But this actually lost out to another film from the same year, Steven Spielberg's other film, speaking of John Williams, E.T. So that's the company that this flick is in, setting the tone early, I think, and definitely for the time was elite in that retrospect anyway. A TV going off air and going to white noise must have been an experience. I mean, it had nothing on the 90s going to sleep, waking up to an infomercial or a music video of white girls running through my mind. True story there. I heard that on an infomercial at 3 o'clock in the morning before I heard it on White Chicks. So that's funny. But yeah, this was one of the first movies to ever deal with EVP or electronic voice phenomenon. So in some movies, I can just understand why, back in the day, especially, that it freaked so many people out, like almost like a modern day Conjuring does to people, and Heather here, so freaking cute. I mean, she reminds me of my own daughter. And so I instantly connect with her from a father's perspective. And speaking of that, apparently the original plan was to kill her here and then have her haunt the house in the second act. And they eventually decided that was too dark for a lot of the same reasons. I guess that Spielberg gave the Paranormal Activity people the advice that he did about not killing Katie at the end. Here, he wanted to possibly show this movie as a double feature with E.T. and wanted that PG rating, not R. I think, like Dustin mentioned, very, very much so hurt this movie, in my opinion, for me. Regardless, I'll tell you what, Coach Craig T. Nelson, I would have pulled her ass away from that TV with haste. I think Dauber would agree with me on that too, Dustin, And, can we talk about how all that beer was just spraying everywhere and nobody gave a shit at all when they were watching that Rams game? That couldn't happen in Mike Settle's house, I'll tell you that. He's not here, but he is nodding his head somewhere, I promise you that. This goldfish here, Heather O'Rourke actually kept it after filming. So fun little tidbit there. She's so damn cute. And, Drew Barrymore auditioned for the role and I guess was a solid number 2 pick because, of course, Spielberg cast her for E.T., which was filming at the exact same time as this. Spielberg was only able to direct E.T. and come here and do this shadow directing because of the delay in some production stuff with E.T. But anyway, last thing, and wait a minute. We are smoking the marijuanas. We are smoking the pot in a bed in your room is crazy enough. But I'm trying to read a book and the TV is on and my wife is talking like it's overstimulation central. It is wild behavior here. Wild from these parents.
Which is the more wild parental move? Smoking the doobies in your bed with the door open, or in your small kids in the home, or having sex in the kitchen while the kids are awake?
I would say smoking the doobs.
Wow.
You can just say you were wrestling. Not that I've ever had to do that.
You can just say it's a clove cigarette. The kids don't know what the marijuanas are.
What's that smell, Daddy?
I farted. Like, anyway, the Star Spangled Banner. That's a wild choice for the intro. I had no clue where we were going here. It is fitting though. Plenty of horrors in America, that's for sure. All this could have been avoided if they hadn't had a dog. That's wild. But you don't expect me to believe that little girl talking to the TV downstairs woke everyone in the house up. No shot. Thank God times have evolved past the dark ages of having the risk of your neighbors changing your TV with their remote. That would drive a man insane, especially I wouldn't care if it's a Rams game, but during football games, like that would piss me off. I absolutely hated the scene where the mom is flushing the bird. One, who flushes the toilet before there's anything in it to flush? Two, why'd she move in slow motion like that? Like, give me a break. She was moving her hand like it was slowed down just so that the kid could walk in. That was terrible. The fake tree that Robbie climbed was so painfully obvious that it was fake. Like, it looked like brown painted plaster. But I won't hold that against the movie. I mean, it was 1982 after all. Brian was a sophomore in college. We've touched on it already, but very odd inclusion of the parents rolling the doobies. Like, what did that have to do with it? That was so unnecessary to the movie. Even later in the movie, when they go to the neighbors, and like the neighbors, you can tell he thinks that they're a kooky couple or whatever. But he didn't explicitly say, like, are you too high or something? Like, I feel like if the neighbor had mentioned it, then okay, maybe it adds something. Like, the whole neighborhood thinks that these people are just stoners and they're tripping. No one believes what's going on in the house. But it added absolutely nothing. It's very weird. It wasn't the most enthralling opening set of scenes, but it was good enough. It's fine.
Man, 80s parents were different. Different.
Robbie can't sleep as the lightning flashes. Creepy-ass clown is staring right at him as he shoots it with a finger gun. Robbie throws a shirt over the clown's face as Steve flirts with Diane, who's smoking in bed. Robbie goes in the room, killing the vibe, scared of the storm. Steve carries him on his back to cheer him up and takes him back to bed. Robbie says he doesn't like the tree, it knows me, and that I live here. Steve teaches him how to count the thunder after the lightning. Steve leaves the room and catches Dana on the phone past bedtime. We see both kids in bed with the parents now and the national anthem playing on TV again. It cuts to static and Carol Ann awakes and goes to the TV again. A black line and sparkles appear, then a ghostly hand bursts forth from the TV, and the ghost zaps into the wall behind the bed. The room shakes and everyone wakes up. They're here, Carol Ann says. Tweety's box is dug up as a new pool is being installed. Kids are causing a ruckus at breakfast until Diane asks Carol Ann about the they're here line. She says it's the TV people until Robbie's milk glass explodes, getting Dana all wet. Steve leaves for work as Carol Ann stares into a staticky TV, and Robbie notices his spoon all bent up. Dana is heading to school as construction workers flirt with a high school-age girl. She gives him the finger and leaves as Mama Diane watches it go down. That was wild. E-Buzz is barking at the wall behind the bed, then runs out the room. He comes back with a toy and barks at the wall again. Bluto snacks some food from the window and is caught, but Diane notices her kitchen chairs are all pulled from the table. She puts them back and steps away, and now all the chairs are stacked on the table. She asks Carol Ann if it's the TV people, and she confirms. Do you see them? She says no. Diane says she can't see them either. She grabs Carol and stares at the chairs. All right, Bryson, next set of scenes, what do you think?
I remember what I was going to say when Dustin was talking, but dude, you're right. Like, not only about the flushing the bird down the toilet, but who flushes a goddamn bird down the toilet? That thing, you're asking for the pipes to be clogged up like that. I mean, a few turds will clog up a toilet, and you're going to flush a fucking bird down the toilet? Okay, all right.
They should have just sold it to the blind kid next door.
All our pets' heads are falling off.
Petey didn't even have a head.
Oh, Lord. Robbie, I mean, you can't sleep because you have a fucking baseball cap on while you're trying to sleep. God damn. Let's just go ahead and get that out of the way so it's not this clown. Both of the terrors, by the way, that plague Robbie here came from Spielberg's own fears as a child. Fear of clowns and a tree outside his window. But hey, all he has to do is spend 35 seconds in his parents' room. He will have the munchies on top of that. And they both end up with a bed anyway. I bet it smells like a skunk in that room, like I said. Just wild behavior. Wild. And listen, I'll admit that, we talked about it earlier, some of these jump scares. The jump scare here with the hand coming out of the TV at 23 minutes got me. I mean, it got me. And yeah, this is where I said it first. These effects feel a little like Casper. But, I mentioned the 2 sound Oscars that this got nominated for. The other Oscar it was nominated for, Best Visual Effects in 1982. So, I mean, I think it would have been 100% more effective if we didn't see it. I absolutely think that. But for the time, I mean, I guess obviously they were good. A little goofier at around 25 minutes where we're at the breakfast. There's not a chair next to Robbie, and then obviously in that scene, the next is suddenly there. Which, speaking of that scene, that shot of the chairs that position themselves in that amazing balancing act on the table was all done in one take. As the camera panned along with JoBeth, who was getting some cleaning materials, several crew members quickly set an already organized pyramid of chairs up on the table, then took the single chairs away before the camera scrolled back. The table was off screen only 7 seconds, so they did all that quick. Great work, and I love one shots, so I had to shout that out.
Yeah, Brian, it's going to sound like I'm reading through your notes a couple of times here, but it's so funny that we both have these. First thing I have, Robbie might be able to sleep if you take off the Dodgers cap.
Yeah.
Caps are not very comfortable to sleep in, so that's funny that you said that. And then just, bro, close your curtains. Tree problem solved. What are we doing here? And why did the parents not try that? Oh, I don't like that tree. It's got a face and it's looking at me. Close the curtains. He had curtains on the window. Then we finally get something noteworthy happening here that's not just regular suburban life. I joked earlier about the dog causing all this, but in all actuality, a sleep timer on the TV could have prevented all this. It's pretty crazy stuff that's not epilepsy friendly when it happens. And here's where I sound like Brian. It looked very cartoonish when the hand came out of the TV, like Casper. That's funny. But for the time, it was pretty good. I'll give them that. And the room shaking, that was a great, great touch. Mom laughing at the grown construction workers making crude comments towards her minor daughter. Mother of the year here. Just awful parenting. Then, when Carol was watching TV in the kitchen, I couldn't help but notice the Wilhelm scream as soon as she turned it on. That's the most famous scream in history. And I just watched a TikTok the other day. It came on my For You page. It was 3 minutes of someone breaking down the Wilhelm scream. So that's funny that it was in this. And then Diane is just way too oblivious. First, she lets the construction workers act like that to Dana. And then she caught one of them eating her food and drinking her coffee through the window and just let it slide. And also, a couple things here. Number one, his name's Bluto. Where's Popeye? Shouldn't he be chasing olive oil? Come on. And then I would throw that whole pot of food away after that. He put the spoon back in the pot of food after he ate from it. That's gross. And first, the dog acting weird like that in the bedroom, but then the chairs being stacked on the table. It's time to leave. Movie over. If I'm this family, movie over. There's nothing to see here. But stuff is picking up now.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that we both said that this looked like Casper.
Yeah.
And this was in 1982. And Casper didn't come out till 1993. So, that's a long time for a movie to still look like another movie, 11 or 12 years later. So it's crazy.
Yes, that's why I said, for the time, it's good effects. It's fine.
Oh, 1995. Sorry.
95, yeah.
Wow.
Damn. Steve is showing a house in phase 4 of the development. As he heads home, we see weird clouds rolling in, and he's pulled inside by Diane in a frenzy. She has him stand in the kitchen and tells him to have an open mind. She sits a chair down in a circle, and it starts rocking on its own. Then it slides across the floor. She celebrates, and he's baffled. He inspects it for anything odd, and now Carol Ann slides across the room. Diane thinks it's a game, seemingly, and Steve is spooked. They go to the neighbor's house and ask if he's experienced any disturbances in his home. He gives him a weird look, and Diane is treating all of Steve's mosquito bites. Soft hands, try living in Florida. You ain't never been bit by a mosquito your goddamn life. Diane is trying to rationalize, and Steve says no more going in the kitchen until he figures out what's going on. Robbie is in bed terrified, and the tree branches break through the glass and snatch him outside. The closet door opens, and Carol Ann hears, "Let's go play." The closet begins sucking everything from the room into the closet as Carol Ann hangs onto her bed for dear life. Robbie is being absorbed into the tree as Carol Ann is pulled into the closet. Steve gets Robbie out, and they tumble down painfully. The tree is pulled from the yard as they find Carol Ann is gone now. They dig through the closet and find the clown under the blanket sitting up. They go check the rest of the house, and they can't find Carol Ann, so they run out to the pool. Steve dives in the nasty water as Robbie hears Carol Ann crying out "Mommy" from the TV. He cries out for Mom and she runs in hearing her voice from the TV. Steve is meeting with a team of parapsychologists explaining what he encountered. Dr. Lesh and team show up to the house and Steve shows them around and explains how they're living now. Steve opens the door to Carol Ann's room and they see all the objects floating around and the bed spinning. Dr. Lesh is spooked too, as is the family. Lesh says it might be a poltergeist intrusion, not a classic haunting. She explains poltergeists and hauntings. Diane says, "We don't have much time. My living daughter is somewhere in this house." All right, Brian, next set of scenes, what do you think?
Well, if you're watching the movie recently, you're going to know what I mean by this. But boy, if you don't put that motherfucking trash can down before you try to walk in the fucking house, oh, that lit me up. God, that lit me up. And then you just jumping up, screaming happy after the chair flies across the room, and then putting your damn kid down there. Like, this is not normal reaction. Like, this,
It's not.
like I said, dude, 80s parents are nuts.
And I did laugh, though. They made her wear the football helmet. It looked like Kelso from that 70s show. It's like, we're doing something stupid. Put the helmet on.
Nice. But did you notice this terrible fucking cut here where it just seems like, bam, it just cuts like mid-sentence? I thought it was something wrong with my stream or something I was watching. It like cuts mid-sentence to Diane and Steven on their neighbor's doorstep talking about those mosquitoes, which to me never paid off. I was like, what the fuck? I thought I was going to have something to do with the ghost or something. But, well, apparently filmed, Steven made the comment that he hates Pizza Hut. And Pizza Hut takes offense and make them have to cut it. But, man, it just seems like it could have been cut somewhat better, I would think. Wild. And I can't be the only person who thought Ghostbusters when they're talking about calling someone in. But then I thought, not for 2 more years. This is the Dark Ages. And I mean, imagine opening the door and a tree has grabbed your kid. As much weed as these people smoke, apparently. My first time watching this, I thought, man, like, surely this is someone's dream or hallucination. Like, please let this be a dream or hallucination, because I thought this was just too crazy. There's no way this is really happening in the movie, because we have jumped way off the rails. Like, you couldn't have had Carol Ann just sucked into the closet without this fucking tree situation going on. To me, I think you just need to cut that whole shit. It looks terrible anyway. Now, hearing Carol in the TV, that's some terrifying shit. I'm going to be honest. So we go from something super hokey with this paper mache tree to, your daughter's voice you can hear through a TV missing. Like, to me, that's just had so much opportunity to be scary as shit. The only other thing I have on the set of scenes is there was some controversy here around 43 minutes when Steve tells the Wish.com Ghostbusters, the parapsychologist here, that his family members' ages says Dana's 16 and that his wife is 32. So many people interpreted that to mean that Diane was only 16 when she gave birth to Dana. However, the novelization of the film clarifies that Diane is Steve's second wife and that Dana is actually Diane's stepdaughter. So in the movie, when telling the parapsychologist about his family, Steve specifically says, "My daughter Dana," and not "our daughter Dana," because of that. And the scene where they let the investigators let them in the house, again, that kind of made me laugh, and it shouldn't have. Like, again, it's definitely something that felt, again, like Casper. They were talking about the Hot Wheels car moving 7 inches or something, crap, over 7 hours, and then he opens it, and the whole room's just going crazy, like Casper scene. I really disliked most of this set of scenes. Truthfully, given some of the stuff that we get, like in the next set of scenes, could have been really damn scary, like I said, but you could definitely tell they were trying to get that PG rating and put some other stuff in.
Yeah, you mentioned that about her being Steve's second wife. Like, before I saw that, I was going to make a joke like, yeah, I knew I'd seen the mom somewhere before. She was on the MTV show, 16 and Pregnant. But then I was like, oh, she was stepmom, so never mind. But wood-paneled station wagons, man, they just don't make them like they used to. If I'm Steve and I come home to my wife acting like this, I would think that she was on something stronger than the marijuanas. Until that chair started moving, then I'd pack up the whole family and move across country. Again, movie over. Easy. And why is she celebrating like that? This is calls for concern, not joy. And then you mentioned the mosquitoes. I agree. I thought that was going to play off, or come into play a lot more than just a meaningless scene. Like I thought, oh, there's an uptick in mosquitoes in their house, or it's just following them because it has something to do with the possession of the spirits. But nope, just nothing. Robbie getting snatched through the window, that's terrifying for the parents, but just leaving Carol Ann in the room alone, that's negligent. What are you doing? Then the tornado in the background when they go outside, it did not look good. That was terrible effects even for 1982. I think that was awful. And then they left Robbie alone in the room when they went outside. Like, these people do not love their kids. You cannot convince me they do. And he said, we haven't even gone to the police. More evidence, they do not love their kids. I did get a good laugh when the guy said, I recorded it on time-lapse video, and you never would have noticed with the naked eye. And Steve just calmly opens the door to the crazy circus that's going on in the bedroom. That was funny. Like, that's not one of the misplaced humor comedy moments to me. Like, that was funny. But we're moving along.
Dr. Lesh puts her glasses on and they turn the staticky TV on. The team watches on as Diane calls for Carol Ann. E-Buzz barks at the roof and they all watch on. Carol Ann communicates to them. Carol Ann fearfully says to them she can't find them and is told to stay away from the light. A ghostly cloud appears above them and watches, and other items fall from it. Carol Ann says someone else is with her. Somebody's coming. Help, please. She's crying for help as her voice fades away. Diane tries to go upstairs, and a gust of wind blows into her. She says she felt Carol Ann. I can smell her. It's her. Diane is in tears, having everyone smell her clothes that smell like Carol Ann. They hear a growl as a big gust of wind blows through the house. Les asks where Carol Ann was playing when she disappears and says, let's go to her closet. Marty reappears and says he got bit by something in Carol Ann's room. Steve tries to get Diane to stay somewhere else, but no one will leave without Carol Ann. Ryan tells Les there's much more than the usual paranormal going on here. The three talk amongst themselves as Les turns the TV off, but Diane asks her to keep it on. Les and Diane share some conversation and alcohol. Les tells Robbie all the answers are in that light. A lot of dialogue on people getting lost to the light between Les and Robbie as Robbie goes to sleep telling everyone goodnight. Everyone is sleeping except Marty and Ryan. Marty goes into the kitchen to get some grub, but instead of getting a normal midnight snack, he gets a whole-ass steak to cook. Like, what are you doing, man? The steak moves on the counter and the center explodes with maggots. Marty retches and goes into the bathroom, but he pulls his face off, panicking until a light flashes. It was all in his head. All right, Bryson, next set of scenes, what do you think?
One of those weird, freaky things here at the start of this, around 49 minutes, when Carol Ann begins communicating through the TV, it's on channel 12. Sadly, again, Heather died at the age of 12. So just another one of those things associated with this movie that probably is just a coincidence, but a sad one either way. And, hokey or not, it's hard to listen to this little girl in pain and lost like this. It messes with me. I hate it. And I'll tell you what, bravo to Dominique Dunn, who plays Dana, though. Her crying through this whole thing was really good acting. That's how I felt like a lot of the family should have been acting. And the mother at least just kind of wasn't. I didn't mention Dana yet, but Dominique Dunn, she passed away at the age of 22 in November of 1982 when this was out. So another tragedy that I got a not so fun fact about later on. The crawling steak effect. Nowadays, CGI, easy. Those days, a real steak was laid over a slot cut between the tiles and the countertop. 2 wires were fastened to the bottom of the steak and moved underneath the counter. Pretty much the same way they did the chairs moving across the kitchen as well from earlier that I didn't touch on. But the bite here on the investigator, and then when the hands pull the flesh off the investigator's face in that bathroom mirror, which was, by the way, Steven Spielberg's hands, who was doing that effect. But these are things that could have been really scary, I think, if they weren't coupled with some of that hokey stuff.
Good tension and drama when everyone can hear Carol Ann yelling that someone was coming after her. I thought that was really effective. These people need to be burning up the phone lines at this point. Call Peter Venkman, an exorcist, and Lee Wanell from Insidious. Like, this is some freaky stuff, and time is ticking. The scene with Les talking to Diane and Robbie, like, that goes on way too long. It felt like it went on forever. Then I hated the forced product placement for the Cheetos bag. Like, it could not be more obvious or unnatural to me. Then that psychopath goes into the chicken and ate a cold chicken wing straight out of the fridge. And then he took a steak out. Number one, yeah, make yourself at home, prick. And two, Who just puts a steak loose in the fridge without being wrapped or on a plate or anything? And 3, who takes the raw steak and puts it on the counter like that? No plate, no paper towel, nothing. Just puts it directly on the counter. That scene made me irrationally mad. And so did the effects of him ripping his face off. I know it's 1982, but that looked awful. I mean, it just did not look good. Thankfully, it was a hallucination, because if that was supposed to be legit, like it really happened, I don't think I could have let it slide. That's all I got.
All right, y'all bear with me. This is the most I got on a set of scenes. Ryan is doodling, rocking in the chair as the camera spins towards upstairs. The machine goes off as fog fills upstairs. Marty alerts him and everyone awakes. The poltergeist goes down the stairs and Steve asks what we're all thinking. What is it? It disappears into the ceiling above and Lesh looks at their findings. They see all the lonely people going to the light. Dana, Robbie, and E-Buzz leaving a cab as Lesh is befuddled by the items that fell earlier. Some are old, some new, but they're off to the lab. Doorbell goes off and Lesh tells Diane Ryan's staying. Marty isn't coming back, but she will return. They hug and she tells her to try to not worry. Mr. Teague shows up to check on Steve, and Steve moves him around to avoid seeing the crazy happenings. Teague says he doesn't want to lose his best salesman and asks him to go on a ride. Diane knocks on Carol Ann's door, calling her name. The door rips open and we hear a screech. Teague takes Steve on a walk as Steve keeps lying about what they're dealing with. Teague says this is the location of Phase 5 and says this is the plot of land could be his. Teague is laying it on thick, and he tells them they've already found a location to relocate the cemetery. It's not like it's ancient burial grounds. Steve has an epiphany hearing this. Back at home, Tangina, a spiritual medium, has joined the parapsychologist team. She walks to home, but Steve doesn't answer. He tries to pull a fast one on her, but she calls him out. Tangina asks for Diane's hand and says Carol Ann is alive in this house. Tangina's strongest feeling is in the closet upstairs. Tangina says she needs Diane's faith for this to work. She tells him Carol Ann is different. She's alive. Her life force is very strong. Tangina gives a spill on what's going on in the other state of consciousness and this crossover state of being. She says a terrible presence is with her, something she's never sensed before. It says things only a child can understand and is very powerful. Tangina says, let's go get your daughter. They get items like ropes, red ribbons, tennis balls, and she has Diane call to Carol Ann. Tangina says Carol Ann is under restraint and has Steve call out to Carol Ann. Be stern so she'll answer you. Carol Ann answers now and cries out for Mommy. Diane hesitantly tells her to run to the light. Mommy is waiting for you. They go in Carol Ann's room where the closet looks like an EDM concert. Tangina tells Ryan to wait downstairs while she tosses the tennis balls into the closet, and Ryan catches both and she asks for Diane's hand. All right, Brian, so next set of scenes, what do you think? Sorry for the lengthy set of scene by scenes.
Yeah, wrap it up.
I don't do that.
Act like you've done this before. Whoa, hey, yo, hey. Look, Ryan doodling in the fucking chair while this crazy ghost stuff's going on everywhere. Couldn't be my Ghostbusters, I'll tell you what. And honestly, I can't be the only one who, I mean, especially in this set of scenes, thought that Martin Casella, who plays Marty, looked like Cillian Murphy, like so much. Well, I did. And this is what I was talking about Nico off air. I can't be the only one who's seen Ghostbusters 100 times and thought that this ghost that appears at the stairs looked like the ghost that gave Ray a blowjob in the first Ghostbusters movie. So I guess I'm the only one who thought about that too. Okay, my bad. But it's time that they got Robbie out of the fucking house. But what taxi service is this that we're trusting to take our kid and dog just somewhere, by the way?
It made me think of Ron White when he's talking about he took his kid to the airport, gave him a 20, and wished him the best of luck. Like that's
about right. Fun fact about Oliver Robbins, who played Robbie, he retired from acting after Poltergeist 2 in 1986, but came back in 2008 and made 3 movies last year in 2024 and has a horror movie called Clown Motel, 3 Ways to Hell, coming out in 2027. So, fun fact there. Last thing at around 1 hour and 11 minutes when Diane opens the bedroom door and is met with that scream. Holy shit, that got me too. It was loud as shit in my earphones when I was watching it. And honestly, I was looking at her thinking, man, I think if I were her, I would just wanted her to play it more upset. Like if all this shit had just happened, your daughter's gone. She didn't look as upset as I wanted her to. But then I read where this was actually the first scene that they filmed of the whole movie. So to me, that's a direction issue. Whoever was directing the movie, you say, look, this is what your character's gone through. This is what you need to be looking like. And I felt like that was wrong. But anyway, and let me get this straight. Mr. Teague thinks that my coach here has the flu and thought, okay, well, let's take him out on a nature walk up some hills to offer him a new house. And, as it is, why couldn't they just say that Carol Ann had been, like, I don't know, kidnapped or something? They're working with the police. Like, I don't understand the whole thought process of, well, she's just at home with the flu too. I mean, I don't know. It's just, and last thing, the famous Zelda Rubinstein. And you know what? When we did Insidious, I wish I'd seen this film first, because it's definitely seems like Lin Shaye's character is based on Tangina here, and I feel like the further is as well. So I know I said that, I don't remember if we said that on air or off, but that's where I had it in my notes.
Definitely some Stranger Things vibe too, like with Will and Upside Down, like, and the parents. But
especially when they come back like all gooey and like gross. Yeah,
Winona Ryder did a much better job of conveying those emotions that you said were missing, though, because I thought that as well. Like, she did not seem as upset as she should have been. And I agree with you. Like, if that's the first scene that you shot, like, reshoot it once she has more of an understanding for the character and what it calls. That's why I think it was Spielberg who directed and not Hooper, because Hooper put out Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He don't miss. So anyway.
Oh my God. Yeah, Spielberg's terrible. He's never made a good one.
Hey.
Ready Player One's a banger.
Okay.
It is.
Hey.
It is. But
hey, Toby Hooper did Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 as well, Dustin.
Play this mess up.
all
right.
That's snorted.
So Buddy's just doodling away here and missing all the developments. I think every character in this movie pisses me off more than any other movie I've seen in a long time. Like, he's fired. Get out. And I don't know why, but you mentioned the taxi scene. The dog jumping in the taxi with Robbie cracked me up. I don't know why it did, but it's just like, come on, the dog just looks. It's like, okay, I'm going with you. Steve's boss coming by the house was off to me. I agree. Like, yeah, he's supposed to have the flu. Let's go on a nature hike. That scene was just too comedic, and it really messed up the tone. This should be terrifying and somber, but that whole scene was played for laughs. Great reveal, though, that the neighborhood was built on a relocated cemetery. I like how that groundwork was laid. I'm not a fan of Tangina. Number one, come on, that name, Tangina. Brennan has a Tangina. Like, why did they purposely cast the characters to be that quirky and odd? It just made it seem corny to me. Again, it didn't fit the tone of what this movie should have been. When Diane is trying to talk to Carol Ann, that pissed me off too. Carol Ann is screaming. Like, Mom, where are you? Like, screaming. And Diane just started almost whispering. Speak up, woman. And why does Tangina keep telling Diane what to say? Like, if she can hear Diane, she can hear you too. To me. I don't know. But it was cool seeing the portal trick work with the tennis balls. We have a pathway moving towards the end of the movie.
Diane tells Carol Ann not to go into the light now as Steve throws a rope into the closet. Ryan pulls the slack as Tangina says she's going after Carol, but Diane says she wants to. Carol Ann won't go to her. Steve wants to do it, but stays, being the only one strong enough to hold the rope. The two kiss as Lesh is sent downstairs with Ryan. Diane goes into the light as Steve asks how will they know that Diane has got her. A beast appears from the closet as Diane and Carol Ann fall from the other portal. They get them into the bathtub to wash off the ectoplasm. Steve comforts the two as we all have a sweet moment.
I just Leo memed you, looked at when you said ectoplasm. I was like, hey.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got my notes put away. I didn't even see you. He scared me, to be honest. Scared me more than the movie did. But anywho. Tangina says the house is clean as Lesh has a big sigh of relief. We see the family packing up to move now as Diane tells Steve she feels good. Dun-na-na-na-na-na. Steve tells her he has to go to the office briefly to clean up some things and they share an I love you. Diane is back inside the house reading instructions how to dye her hair. Diane tells the two little ones to answer the phone if it rings and to tuck yourselves into bed. She gets in the tub and the clown is still staring at Robbie's bed. He tosses the jacket but misses and just gives up going to sleep. Diane enjoys a bath until Robbie wakes up hearing rustling. He sees the clown is gone from the chair. He looks under the bed but nothing. The clown grabs him from behind and pulls him under the bed. Diane lies down, but then she's attacked as well. She's pulled up the wall into the ceiling as Robbie gets the upper hand on the clown. Diane makes it to the floor and out the room as the closet lights up. The beast appears to Diane as Robbie can't open the door. Diane takes a stumble down the stairs and can't run back up them due to like an electrical supernatural force. And the next set of scenes is the ending. Go ahead, Brian.
Dustin, tell me which Thor was it? 1 or 2? Whenever they throw things into that portal and it comes back in a different place. You know what I'm talking about, though? That's when they were doing that with this tennis ball. That's 100% what I was thinking of. That's what it reminded me of, just to be honest. But yeah, let me call out that shot of Tangina in the room with the light flashing everywhere. That's one of those things where, yeah, I've not ever seen this movie, but in pop culture, that's one of the things that I have 100% seen of this movie. Tangina, when I saw her, I was like, oh yeah, this is her. Like, she's always that creepy character that you see in other movies, and this is her in the first one. Like, I don't know, it was kind of cool for me to see that all come together. We also have some symbolism here after Diane rescues Carol from the further or the upside down. They go to the bathtub full of water and quote, "Water is considered the element of life. We wanted to imply that the tub is almost like a womb and they're there to be reborn," end quote. So probably a little deeper than the movie needed, but there you go. 0% chance I would ever let that little girl out of my sight too. By the way, after all this, also 0 chance my kids would be behind a closed door in that house ever again, especially in that fucking room. These parents are nuts. Also, thinking out loud, I wonder if the gray in Nancy's hair in the Nightmare on Elm Street was a nod to this as well. Or hell, Diane being drug on the ceiling, even in her underwear and the t-shirt. That again reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street. So another fun fact here, when Robbie's being strangled during the stunt, the clown's arm became extremely tight and Robin started to really choke. And he screamed out, "I can't breathe." Steven Spielberg and Tobe Hooper thought that the boy was just ad-libbing and just instructed him to look at the camera. When Spielberg saw Robin's face turning purple on the video monitor, he ran over and removed the clown's arms from Robin's neck. So Oliver Robbins has stated, if Spielberg hadn't done that, then maybe I wouldn't be here today. So crazy.
I thought of another good Spielberg movie, Hook, with Robin Williams and Dustin Hoffman. That's a great movie. But anyway.
I mean, we did Jurassic Park, too.
Yeah, it's all right. It's pretty good.
It's all right.
And
kidding. You love Jaws.
Anyway, I'm just kidding. Steven Spielberg is not my Brad Pitt. Like, I think he is good. He's not overrated. Good. I was kidding. Brad Pitt, on the other hand. Anyway, I laughed when Diane said, "Neither of you." And Tangina said, "You're right. You go." Like, this movie shouldn't be funny. What are we doing? And then, when she said, "This house is clean," I know this movie came out well before, but I immediately thought of Ace Ventura. This house is clear. Anyway, I don't have an issue with the giant head coming out of the closet. Like, that's fine, especially for 1982. What I do have issue with, though, is Steve dropping the rope. He told Diane he'd never let go. He is a liar. Honestly, my biggest gripe is that all this happened and the family's reconnected and we still have 20 minutes to go. Let's wrap it up. This is a sufficient ending to me. I do kind of like Diane's new hair. It looks like Rogue from X-Men. I know Nico gets that reference. I don't get the logic of spending even another night in this house, even another day in this house, and leaving before night. Like, what makes them think that just because they got Carol Ann back that they're safe here? It's more bad parenting. And more bad parenting when Diane got in the tub and left the kids alone in that possessed bedroom. Of course something else is going to happen that's bad. Like, what do you think? Again, I say, these parents do not love these kids. I'm beyond ready for the ending.
Yep, and here's the ending. Diane runs outside and is zapped by the door. Carol Ann is staring at the closet. "No more," she says. Diane yells for help outside and falls into the pool. Skeletons float up by her and caskets emerge from the earth. She struggles to make it out the pool and slides back into the skeleton-filled water. She grabs a hose and is helped by the Tuttles. She begs for the help with her babies upstairs being attacked. She runs towards the room, but the hallway gets stretched as she runs towards the door. Upon entering, she sees the opening in the closet and her children being sucked in. A tentacle-like arm emerges from the closet to grab the kids, but Diane gets a hold of the kids, pulling them out of the room. Steve returns home, seeing the house lit up. He goes inside and more caskets emerge in the house. Steve crashes out on Teague for lying about moving the cemetery. They only move the headstones, not the bodies. The family makes it into the car, and Steve struggles to put the key in the ignition, hot and fresh out the kitchen. Mom, I'm just kidding. Dana is dropped off from her date and panics. She's ordered into the car, and they drive off and don't look back. The fire hydrants explode, and the house shoots off beams of energy before it's sucked into the portal. The neighbors all watch on in terror as Teague breaks down in tears. The family makes it out the city limits and to a Holiday Inn. Upon entering the room, Steve immediately takes the TV outside, and that's the ending. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I loved that. And so, okay, so this scene here with the swimming pool and the skulls, that's the fun fact being in this horror genre and this podcast and doing these movies that I've always heard about and read about. I think it's pretty well known just in pop culture period that real human skeletons were used here since the crew decided that it would be too complicated and expensive to get fake ones. Hooper previously did the same thing in 74's Chainsaw, which I think I recall us mentioning, don'tgooutthere.com. But it's crazy. I read that not a single word from the 1 hour, 48 minute mark until the end was spoken. And that sounds like a lot, but then I guess it's really only a few minutes and you really don't even notice, to be honest with you. So Joe Beth also wasn't told about it being real skeletons beforehand, of course, but also she was hesitant about shooting the swimming pool scene just altogether because of the large amount. Apparently there's a large amount of electrical equipment positioned all around the pool. And to get her to do it, Spielberg crawled into the pool with her to shoot the scene. And Spielberg told her, now if a light falls in, we both will fry. And that strategy worked with Williams, and she got in the pool, and they did the scene. Now, I don't know if that would have worked for most people. Now, this ending is fucking nuts. Like, I did not expect literally everyone to be out on the street and involved in this just pure mayhem. Like the animated movie Monster House. Have you seen that? That's what this reminded me of right there. That's what it was like here at the end. It was just, I liked the ending. I'm not going to lie. Mostly because I think it was so unexpected, I think. And especially, like you mentioned, when they go to the hotel room and they throw the TV outside at the end, that was fantastic. That was great. I liked it.
Steve is a terrible husband and father. He had to run to the office during the daytime. Like, what time is all this happening? Where is this office? How long has it been gone? Diane struggling that long in the pool, it got annoying to me. I get it. She falls in and it's all mud, but it just seemed like it went on too long. I do like the look of the glowing orange door down the hallway and how long that hallway looked. Like, it looked like it was a mile long. I thought that was really good to show her perspective and how she felt. But then, my land, how tight were those bed sheets and blankets tucked? Good night. Those kids would never be able to move if they were tucked in. Steve just standing outside the house looking dumb instead of rushing inside. Again, man does not care about his family. So maybe I get it. The rest of this is just nothing but loud noises, a ton of screaming, and an overpowering score with some thunder mixed in. It's just too much to me. And we get one final ha-ha moment when he wheels the TV set out of the Holiday Inn. I agree, Brian, it was funny, but if that was the only comedic moment, it was great. But there's just too much. There's just too much stupid comedy in this movie that should have been scary. The ending was on par with the rest of the movie to me.
I agree with that.
No, that's fair. I think it's funny too, but like the whole movie, the tone, they can't decide if they want to be family friendly or scary, and I get it.
It's a tonal
But anyway,
nightmare.
we'll jump over to our social media comments and questions. I'll knock out the Graham first. We only got 2 comments. Dana Tucker 48 commented, "I love this movie, classic. I was 9 when it came out. Yeah, I'm the old one, not Brian. This is where my fear of clowns started. Great pick. Can't wait for the review." Appreciate that. And M. Ruth Stone commented, "This is my emotional support movie." Well, I'm sorry we don't seem to love it as much as you do, but I'm glad you love it. I think it's fine, though.
I think if I'd seen this movie, and I did see this movie when I was young, but it didn't, like, I watched it and that was it. If I'd have kept watching this movie and really appreciated movies like I do now as a kid, I think this movie probably would be a classic to me. Like, I would probably love this movie. But having gone so long without watching it and then watching it after so many good movies I've seen in the past few years, it does not hold up to me.
You have the Twitters.
I do. I have X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, pulled up. Sean the Glee Man said, "I've only seen the reboot of this and the cinema sins of the OG. that's probably all you need to see, to be honest with you. Matt Sears said, looking forward to this one. I'll struggle to find a classic that's, quote, overdue after this one. Eric says, I can't believe there are people who haven't seen it. Well, one less of those now. And then...
Yep. Sorry, Eric.
And then the last one we got on X is from Andrew Ferguson. He said, Eddie Murphy said it best. Just leave. She's young. You can't be too attached to her. But, Mr. Murphy, didn't you try to save your daughter? Sure, I'm a man. I tried to save her. I changed the channel. That didn't work, so I got the F out. Yep, that's what you got to
do. Or in the Book of Faces here, Shanna Turner, still terrified of clown dolls. By the way, who do you guys think really directed it, Spielberg or Hooper? I think Spielberg. For sure.
Spielberg.
Yeah.
If it was, I don't know. If Hooper done it, it probably would have been a little scarier, but I don't know. TCM2 is a tonal nightmare, too, compared to the first one.
Yeah, I agree. Who wrote TCM2? I'm blaming that.
I think Hooper did.
Well, okay, then I do blame him.
But look it up first. I do blame him.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. TCM2, the writer. No. L.M. Kit Carson. And Toby Hooper wrote the original, which the second one's based on. So he didn't write the second one. So I blame L.M. Kit Carson for 2 being so bad. Toby Hooper can only direct what he's given.
That name just feels made up. L.M. Kit Carson.
It's a ghostwriter. Toby was like, I'm not getting blamed for this shit. Matthew Heffer, this film put me off steak for life. Yeah, that was nasty. And Matthew Heffer, again, this film also reminds me of my ex-wife. Oh, God, I don't even want to read it any further. On the day she left me, I closed the door, looked at my dogs, and said, this house is clean.
All right, he's my new favorite listener.
That's funny.
I love it.
I'll do the budget real quick, then y'all can do the fun facts because I'm sure y'all got plenty of them. Budget was an estimated $10.7 million, and the gross worldwide was $77,233,131. Made a lot of money. But that cost a lot too, though, if you think about it.
It really did, especially for 1982.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got probably 5 or 6 fun facts. So do you want to go ahead, Dustin?
Sure, I got a few. Steven, we've already touched on this, but Spielberg ghost directed the movie. Hooper's credited with directing, but that's only because Spielberg was contractually forbidden from working on another movie while directing E.T. So that's where that controversy comes into play. Early drafts of the movie were much darker, but it was toned down to keep the PG rating. Mistake. The TV static was custom made for the movie and not just dead air static from a dead channel. Spielberg wanted it to be hypnotic, and I don't think I could have I could tell a difference. I didn't know until I read that, but static looked fine. The scene where Diane is flung around the house was made practically using a rotating room. That's pretty cool. And last one I've got is that Craig T. Nelson was in Rage with Joseph Whipp. Who's Joseph Whipp, you ask? He played Sheriff Burke in Scream with David Arquette.
Whip.
Cool Whip.
After telling a reporter that he basically directed the movie himself, because Toby Hooper isn't, quote, a take charge sort of guy, Steven Spielberg took back the comments and issued an apology to Hooper, saying his contribution to the film was invaluable. Oh, yeah, okay. Never mind. The house used to film this movie is located in Simi Valley, California, where it still stands today. The family who owned it sold it in May of 2009. 2 cast members were subsequently murdered, like we mentioned. Dominique Dunn was strangled by her former boyfriend, John Thomas Sweeney, in the driveway of her West Hollywood home on October 30th, 1982. She died 5 days later at the age of 22. Lou Perryman was killed with an axe by Seth Christopher Tatum in Austin, Texas on April 1st, 2009. He was 67 years old. Steven Spielberg offered Toby Hooper, oh my God, the script for E.T. When Hooper declined, thank God, that would have been crazy, Spielberg gave him the not yet written script for this film instead and directed E.T. himself. Jo Beth Williams had a supernatural experience during the making of this film. Whenever she came home from filming, the pictures on the walls of her house were crooked. Every time she fixed them, they would hang crooked again. Zelda Rubinstein also had an experience when a vision of her dog came to her and said goodbye. Hours later, her mother called and told her Rubinstein that her dog had passed away that very day. And the last thing, this film came about from Steven Spielberg's failed attempt to do a sequel to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which is obviously another movie that's way overdue. And also that I've never seen all the way through.
I've got just another little bit about Dominique Dunn. It's so crazy. A day before she was set to guest star on an episode of Hill Street Blues, she was badly beaten up by her boyfriend, and she showed up to the set with bruises on her face. And since she was playing an abused teen in the episode, she didn't wear makeup. The bruises you see in that episode are her real bruises. That is tragic. And then her boyfriend that murdered her, John Thomas Sweeney, he was 26 at the time. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison for assault and unintentional manslaughter, but he was free after 2.5 years.
Wow.
The justice system messes up so many things.
Nuts.
Yeah, I saw that. It's crazy, man. All right, guys, you want to jump into our favorite kill, least favorite kill in the rating? I didn't pick any kills, to be honest with you, this week. Dustin, you want to go first?
Yeah, kills.
Well, there was only the bird, right?
Yeah, kills. I got the bird.
Dead and deep fried. You ever heard of Popeyes?
Yeah.
I didn't have any kills either. But as far as my final thoughts on the rating, it was just all over the place with the tone. It had potential to be so much more frightening, but they wanted to add in too much comedy and keep it PG. I don't hate it, but I don't think it's very good. I think it's, like I said in the open, it's a very mediocre movie. I gave it a 5.
I'll go next. Brian, you can go last. I'm right there with you. I think the movie is just okay. I did enjoy it more on this watch compared to my first time. I just really enjoy the parent dynamic. I think that Craig T. Nelson, and I forgot her name again, I apologize, but I think they just do a fine job. The clown is scary, even though Scary Movie 2 kind of ruined it, but I think the movie is just fine. I gave it a 6. It's nothing I want to pop on anytime soon, but I want to be respectful to a classic.
Jo Beth Williams is the mom's name.
Shout out to Jo Beth.
And she's still acting. So she was she was in a movie last year called Boots for Gold, or Cash for Gold, played a character named Boots. I saw that. That's remarkable. Good for her.
No soft hands.
No, not at all. You know what would have been funny? They wake up at the end of all this and realize it was all a dream. And they say, man, we should have smoked all that pot in our room and let our kids in. That would have been, I think that would have made this movie great.
I think that would have ticked me off, but go ahead.
You know what? Like I said at the beginning, I think if I had grown up on this movie or watched it before all of the other movies I'd seen that apparently borrowed a lot from this, I think I would have maybe thought a little bit differently. I don't know. I just don't know where to put the score. I think it's a very good, maybe entry-level horror movie for somebody who's getting into horror. I think that it had the bones also, like you mentioned, Dustin, to be really damn scary, if not for everything that we mentioned. I don't know. It's one of those scores that just really won't reflect anything I've said. And I don't know. I gave it a 6 as well, Nico. Sorry or not sorry, whichever one works better for how you feel about that score.
That gives us a composite score of 5.667.
Yeah. Yikes.
We're below the averages here, but that's fine. IMDb has it as 7.3, Letterboxd 3.5, Rotten Tomatoes 88% of critics thought it was good. I think the Rotten Tomatoes score is important and relevant for this movie because, those are critics who saw it at the time. So
right.
We're looking at it through 2025 eyes when if we have seen it, it's been a long time and one of us hadn't seen it. So it's just hard.
And I think it's just one of those movies that I think were really good at the time and I think deserves the respect for sure. I hate that our composite score is so low, but I don't know, it deserves more love probably than we're giving.
No, it deserves what it got tonight.
Damn.
I haven't seen the remake. I kind of want to watch the remake now because I want to see if they.
Yeah, me too.
did it, did the story.
Jamie, pull that IMDb up for the Poltergeist remake, please. Bring that up.
I want to see it too, but is it like The Fog? Is it like The Fog where people are like, oh, it's terrible because it's not the original, but it's actually better? Is it like Texas Chainsaw?
I've heard
03,
Poltergeist remake is horrible.
Brian,
I don't know.
Let's keep it respectful.
Oh, come on, Nico agrees with me on that one, Ian.
Well, both of y'all keep it respectful.
Oh, about what? What was that?
Texas Chainsaw 03.
I do like 03 better than 74.
No, I know. That's what
but
I'm saying.
I like 74. I gave like an 8.75. I like both of them.
It's really good, but the original is an all-timer.
Overrated. What?
It's an all-timer.
Oh, okay.
Did you get the Poltergeist remake up?
Yeah, it's not good. It's a 4.9 IMDb fan score. Metacritic is 47. Let's look at Letterboxd here.
2.1.
Poltergeist.
People probably hate it just because
it is 2.1. Did you look
is
it
it?
up?
Oh, wow, I guess.
Oh.
That's crazy.
And then Rotten Tomatoes, Poltergeist. Oops. 2015. Rotten Tomatoes is a 29%.
Damn.
But I think Brian had a good point, though. Like, how many of those scores are because, it's not the original?
Yeah.
So.
I'm going to watch it, and then if I have watched it before I edit it, I'm going to put in what I thought about it.
Hell yeah, brother. You got to turn that damn wrestling off first, though.
I can. I've got so much more to watch.
I'm literally watching wrestling as we record this. TNA Impact is live.
Let me shout
out.
I'm
taking pictures of your TV.
Let me shout out our blood donors, and I'll announce Mike's pick for next week, and we can get out of here so you two can start watching some wrestling again. We appreciate all of our blood donors. Y'all take a huge burden off of us. Camper Level reoccurring, Nina, the Horror Movie Crew podcast, Michelle Mirza, Steve Schmidt, and Matt from the UK. Camp Counselor reoccurring, Edwin Hernandez Gunn, Joe Swinford, Adrian Aiello, Brian Samick, Andrew Ferguson, Brooke Maley, Heather Superdoc, Jennifer Davis from Too Close to Home Pod, Dana Tucker, Cole McAlexander, Max K, Madison Arzola, and Casey Smith. Really appreciate y'all. Y'all, like I said, take a huge burden off of us, help us pay these bills. It means a lot to us. And I just bought quite a few Blu-rays. I'm going to give away some digital codes. I'll make sure I give them to our blood donors. Next week, for Mike's pick, we are going to be taking on 2025's companion for Never Seen a Month. I'm a big fan of Sophie Thatcher, Jack Quaid. Lucas Gage is in it as well. Big fan of his. He's an up-and-coming star, in my opinion. I'm excited to take it on. It's going to be fun. Final thoughts, guys.
And Matt McCarthy's on it. He's one of my favorite follows on TikTok, so I'm excited to watch him again. It's a very brief cameo, but I like Matt McCarthy.
Oh, that's right. I remember you talking about that. But we'll be back next week with Companion, and we appreciate y'all. Jason X, Jason Lives, the return of Michael
666.
Myers.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you next week. And in the meantime, take care of yourself.
Just want to remind everybody.